All right, we'll get this started. Just let me know when you guys are all good.
Hold on. Just count the time for us real quick so we can make good audio.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. You guys all good?
I'm good on my side.
Yeah. All right. Good morning. So I'm Sergeant Brenton, Brenton Schneider, Schneider, and I'm the Public Information Officer for the Marin County Sheriff's Office. So this morning around 10:10 a.m., we received a call from a search and rescue team as well as a canine team that were in the field that notified us that they had found Carol and Ian in a very dense drainage that was overgrown with foliage. They reported to us that they were alive and well, that they were able to speak with our search and rescue members that showed up at the scene. We worked on getting a rescue helicopter to them as quickly as we could because the carryout, because of the dense vegetation that they were in, was just something that was not possible. I've spoken with the family of both Carol and Ian, and they are ecstatic, to say the least. They wish to extend their gratitude to all the search and rescue members that you see behind me, who are the reason for Carol and Ian being found. Thank you. Carol and Ian are doing okay. They were suffering from slight hypothermia. And in speaking with Carol and Ian, the reason they are most likely alive is because they were drinking from a puddle that they found near where they were located. What we were able to get from Carol and Ian before they were transported is that they left for a hike on Valentine's. They got lost in the dark, and they don't know what happened after that. So Carol and Ian are doing okay. They're at a local hospital with family members there with them. And at this time, I'd like to bring forward Quincy, Rich, and Canine Groot, who are part of the team that found them.
Hi, I'm Quincy. This is Rich, and of course Groot. So we were searching up the drainage from Shallow Beach. It's very tough going, very tough drainage. About halfway up, we hear voices. First, we thought it was another team, but then they started yelling help. We looked at each other and we're like, that's them. We rushed over to them, got on the radio, requested more resources, and ultimately the Sonoma 1 Sheriff Rescue Helicopter extricated them along with our team.
Hey, Quincy, can you talk about how dense the vegetation was when you guys were walking up in there?
It was very, very thick. We were following deer trails as best we could, but we were crawling through, breaking through the bushes. It took us a long time even just to move a short distance because it was so thick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, spell your first and last, please.
Quincy Webster, Quincy, Webster, Webster.
And you're with the Marin Search?
I'm with Marin Search and Rescue.
And are you a volunteer? Or?
I'm a volunteer, yes.
Thank you. Wow.
And then for those that don't know, Rich and his canine partner are part of CARDA, which is the California Rescue Dog Association, and he is also a volunteer. On behalf of, thank you. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, we would like to thank all of the agencies involved, which has been a plethora of outgoing support for the search and rescue mission. So we'd like to thank the Bay Area Mountain Rescue Unit, Sonoma County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Unit, the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office, Napa County Search and Rescue, Contra Costa County Search and Rescue, Alameda County Search and Rescue, San Mateo County Search and Rescue, the California Office of Emergency Services, the U.S. Coast Guard, the Marin County Fire Department, the California Highway Patrol, Sonoma County Sheriff's Office Henry 1 Unit, in addition to obviously Marin Search and Rescue, who is a dedicated group of volunteers, just like all the other SAR departments in this that we have in the nation. Inverness Fire Department for being a host. Point Reyes National Seashore Rangers, State Parks, the Marin County Sheriff's Office Posse Unit, WOOF, which is a canine organization, Monterey Bay Search Dogs, and CARDA. So without all of the agencies involved, I don't think that we would have this outcome. The question has come up about us calling this a recovery mission as opposed to a search and rescue mission. regardless of what we call the mission, the people that you see standing behind me still do what they do. They get out there and they search, whether it's we're looking for someone who is alive or who is not alive. So in speaking with the family members, I think we've all come to the conclusion that Carol and Ian's survival is a miracle. We are ecstatic for the family. And shortly after this, I'm going to go and meet with them and just make sure that they're doing okay and that if there's anything that we can offer them. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you have.
How did they survive beyond the water? How did they do it? What were they wearing?
So their clothing was something that you go out in a light, on a light evening. There was no jackets. I know that Carol was found without shoes. So it sounds like they may have fallen at some point, but they continued hiking. I spoke to the son Jonas for a little while and informed him that after speaking with some of our search and rescue members that at some point Carol tried to leave to go find help. She used a scarf that she had around her neck to tie off on branches so that she could find her way back to Ian. And obviously she wasn't able to make it out of there because the vegetation was so dense.
How far were they from the home?
As a crow flies, about a half a mile. Walking, probably 3 to 4.
Had they ever heard searchers around the area during this whole time? Did they know people were looking for them?
I don't have that information right now. I'm hoping to get that when I go and speak with the family.
What did they say when they were found? Did they say anything?
They were very appreciative. I know that Ian made a couple where he started singing a song when the helicopter came, and he still had a little bit of sarcasm behind him. So they're doing okay. I think they, from what it sounds like, they thought that this was the end for them, and thankfully all the folks that you see behind me are as dedicated as they are, because without them they most likely wouldn't have made it.
This area where you found them, did you find them in an area where you guys might have passed by already?
So this area where we found them was in a new search zone that was a lot farther than family and also us at the sheriff's office and speaking with the family thought that they could make it. And especially with the dense vegetation, I think it was a very implausible spot for them to be. But that's why we continued searching every single day to try and find them.
How far was it from the beach that you guys were talking about?
I don't have that info.
Do you get the sense that they were there in this area since Friday?
It doesn't sound like they would have been able to make it much farther than what they did because of how dense the vegetation was.
How far off Pierce Point Road was the area where they were found?
It's hard to say because there's no trails. I would say as a crow flies, maybe half mile. If you're trying to walk there, I'm saying it's something that would take you, 3 or 4 hours to get to unless you had a GPS coordinate of where they were and were able to go through the brush like these guys behind me.
Where did they start hiking?
They left their cottage. I don't know where they went from that.
So it would take 3 to 4 hours to get where they were, or no?
If you didn't know where they were, I think that it would be a very impassable route to get to them.
Any idea how close the early searches got to them?
I don't have that information in front of me right now, so I couldn't tell you.
Can we have Rich's last name?
What's your last name, Rich?
Cassens, Cassens.
And how old is Groot?
Groot is 3 years old.
Did he actually make contact with the couple?
He did after Quincy and I made verbal contact with him. He went down and got to them and then came back.
You're a god.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Just hypothermia? Is that what they have?
They were very, very cold. So Quincy actually took all of his gear out of his pack and put it on Ian. So he took all of his gear and tried to warm Ian up. They gave them a little bit of water to help hydrate them so they could make the helicopter flight over to where they were dropped off to the waiting medics.
How emaciated were they? Were they bloody?
I don't have that info.
Obviously, they didn't have food.
Yeah, they had no food or water with them. So, like I said, they found a puddle nearby, and that's what they were using to survive.
What can you tell us about this couple? Were they avid hikers? How much experience did they have in the wilderness in the past?
So they were known to vacation here quite a bit, and I would they were very familiar with some of the trails around the area. They were described by their family members as avid hikers, but within reason because Ian had an ankle injury. But they were known to go on short hikes.
Did they say they forgot their cell phones, or is there any indication of why they might have left their stuff?
We haven't even asked them that question, I think. Yeah.
Hey, Quincy, did they say anything to you when you walked up?
They just said how grateful they were. They were like, thank God you found us. We're so happy.
Had Quincy and a few others not been in that area, what would have happened?
I don't think they would have made it, based on how they were found and how dense the vegetation was that they were in. I do not think that they would have made it without this group of people that you see right behind me.
How unlikely is this that someone's out there for 8 days and then is found?
Like I said, in speaking with a search manager that we have that's been doing this for 40 years and was also involved in the fire service, and also speaking with the family, this is a miracle. Any other questions?
How much longer would you have searched?
We had search plans put in place through Monday, and then we would have reevaluated at that time with both search and rescue, the sheriff's office, and also with the family's input.
Was there Airbnb ever a crime scene? Did you treat it as such?
No, we did not. We had nothing inside the cottage that led us to believe that foul play was involved.
Do you have a general number of how many people were in the search and rescue operations today?
So today we had over 70 personnel here, including both ground personnel as well as search managers and that. But we had 70 personnel here today.
What about throughout the week?
I would, in the hundreds. Yeah, I would say most likely between 400 and 500 people over the six or 7 days.
And can you estimate like how many hours essentially from last Saturday till now? You guys were constantly.
I would say if you average the days spent, not counting the other search that we had, I would anticipate anywhere from 10 to 12 hours each day that was put forth by almost all volunteers.
So obviously, you've all been talking about this for the last few hours.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some kind of an idea. What's the feeling? What's it been like in there when you've been talking to each other?
Anytime you have a find that turns out well, I think that everybody behind me is ecstatic. This is why they do it. This is the reason that they are so dedicated. You know, and being a volunteer and having this impact on a family who was not, everything, they were still being optimistic, but it wasn't looking great for chance of survival. Everybody behind me right here is ecstatic.
Can you post any websites for people that are inspired and in good health to become volunteers?
Yeah, so if you go to www.marinsar.org, that is the face of this organization behind me, and anything you need and want to know about them can be found on there.
Thank you.
All
What
right.
was the room like when you actually got the news, when you first found out?
Chaos, because we wanted to get as many people to them as we could. Controlled chaos, I'd call it. But that is when everything goes into plan. All of their training kicks in, and I was coming up the road from the area where we're able to get our vehicles for the search and rescue members to hike in. And as I was coming out, even though there was already people there, I still had search and rescue members running down the hill past my car so that they could go and be part of it and help out however they could.
The initial contact with the victims, the hikers, who was screaming first, the man or the female?
They were both yelling for help at the same time. They were both conscious and talking.
Because they heard you guys.
They heard us searching. They heard us talking, and they started yelling out for help.
Brent, did the weather contribute to this happy ending, you think, over the last week?
I think that the weather definitely played a part because the first 3 or 4 days of our search, the temperatures didn't drop down into the 30s. And so the last 3 or 4 days, the temperatures dropped down in the 30s, and that's why we were so concerned about hypothermia and the chance of survival with that.
Do you happen to know what type of foliage is out there, since it's so dense, what it could be?
Yeah, it's insanely thick. It's so thick that some of our members had to crawl out on their bellies for over an hour and a half during one of the searches.
So is it like ferns, or like what would you?
I couldn't tell you. All right. Well, Thad, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it, and please keep Carol and Ian's family in your thoughts as they start this recovery process. Thank you.
Thank you.